So I'm just going to move on to Thom Barnhardt. He's an advisor and he connects companies and investors. Super interesting guy. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Christian asked me to talk about what investors are looking for in companies they're investing in. And I thought I'd just start off with and change the title to mean what serious investors are looking for. Because you can find loads of investors out there that are investing for different reasons. And they might not be the right guys, but that's just a bit of luck, a bit of hype in the market, all kinds of crazy things going on at different times. And there are always crazy people doing stuff. But let's not focus on that. Let's talk about, let's say, somewhat professional, serious investors as well. So next slide, Christian. Just a really quick background on me. I'm actually based in, I'm based actually in Poland for a long time, living about 25 years in Europe. And I've been doing a number of different media businesses and involved in about 15 startups along the way. I've essentially, some of them have been very successful. One has been NASDAQ listed. Some others have gone to zero, as they say. Some have done pretty well and been sold to other bigger media companies. Right now, I'm focusing primarily on the events businesses myself, and we do events in Europe, in the US, in New York, and Miami, and Texas, and we're doing also in Tokyo before COVID hit us pretty hard on the Japan side. And our niche, as Christian said, is really at the fundamental stage. Like any media business, we're connecting people, a buyer with a seller, an investor with a company. The details of the media really doesn't matter. It's connecting a buyer with a seller. Okay, next slide. I'm going to go fast and keep us on schedule. So really as what both Patrizio and Julian said, first of all, do really want external investors. You don't have to have them sometimes, many times. If you have a business that's already got clients, already growing, always got cash flow, you may not need external investors at all. And I think that would be a hell of a lot more interesting than having to need external investors. A lot of guys, mostly I must say, guys a lot younger than me, are excited about getting their external investors and VCs and Series A and Series B, but they spend so much time doing that, they're not focusing on the client. So really, your cheapest source of capital is your clients. Bring them in fast, take care of them, listen to them. And the complication of clients is nothing compared to the complications of investors who have come in wanting many different things. You've got politics to deal with, you've got quarterly meetings or reports to send out to them all the time. You've got to talk to them about strategy, get their approval sometimes. Anyway, as you hear from me, I'm not a big believer, I'm not a big fan necessarily that you always have to get external investors. So nevertheless, next slide is, if you do have to get them, and again, going back to some of the comments from Julian, look for those who have built up a business themselves. There are a lot of big corporate investors who have no idea really of what it takes to build up a business from nothing. They're used to systems being in place, systems to support them, and that's financial systems, it's accounting systems, it's sales systems, and then they find themselves confronting a startup company that has no systems whatsoever, and they're completely like a fish out of water. So as also Patrizio said about the advisors, there are different levels of people that you need at different parts of the life cycle of the company. But just simply be aware that some of the biggest corporate guys, investors, may really not be suitable for you to get money from. If you do have those, look for guys who have scrabbled, built their own companies up. I suppose someone like Patrizio has done that. Obviously, you can see that. And Julian, they understand you. They understand what it's like to go through, to have sleepless nights, to be afraid of not making payroll the next month. So those are the guys that can help you really scramble when it's time to scramble. Again, sales, introductions, helping you bring in those big new clients. And again, I go back to clients. Yes, bring in new investors as well, but using the networks to tap into people from all over the world that will help you in some way. And again, investors who will put in money when you need it. A lot of times you won't have a chance to put together the the fancy paperwork. You need money next week for something, $50,000, whatever it might be. You want to be able to have investors who might help you through those really, really tough times, because they most of the time will come somewhere in the life of your business. And on my last point on this slide, and you can switch to the next one, Christian, is avoid the non-exec directors, big corporate non-execs who are the usually guys who are like 5 or 6, 7 guys and 7 notes in their CV that they're a non-exec here and a non-exec there. And they just drop in some cool comments about what you should be doing better and leave. And they don't really know your business, and they're not gonna know it. And they're not really gonna work on your business, but they're gonna drop in about every couple of months, drop some words of wisdom in their opinion, and leave you to it. So I'd simply be aware that that is not always helpful to have those guys involved. Okay, next slide, Christian. So if we talk about what investors want, we also want to talk about what they don't want. They don't want an endless drainage of cash. You got to find a way to show that you're going to make money and make money at some point soon. They don't want any endless need to put in more capital, because that dilutes them. They get diluted continuously. And that is, in my mind, equivalent to failing as your business. If you are going to get diluted 90% from your investment, what's the difference between that and having the business fail? So again, beware of that dilution. The investors don't like that. No one does. Okay, next and last slide. So, which is answering the question we talked about, what investors do want. And again, this is what Julian touched on. They want to see you solve a problem. What's the big problem? Is there a problem that someone has? Do you have a solution? Is it big enough? And again, the point that many Americans would say, go big or go home. Are you going to be a global player, at least a continental player? Are you going to own a niche? Are you going to follow and be a number 2, number 3, or number 1? So the investors want to see that they can have a big win with what you're doing. At the same time, they don't want you to have this crazy ambition. And I've seen it in companies that I'm involved with, have been involved with, where the founder is absolutely too crazy and they can't organize the business, organize the day-to-day things. And again, back to what the earlier comments from Julian or Patrizio, are they reliable? Do they do what they say they're going to do? A lot of the crazy guys don't do follow-ups. They forget about it. They're not organized. So you want a combination of that crazy ambition with some reliability as well. The other point is, again, back to Patrizio, pivots. Can you pivot? Yeah, you want someone who's really fixed and focused on an idea, but also one that can change his mind if he thinks the market has changed or has proven that what he's doing isn't quite right. So the pivot ability, really important. It's unlikely that what you start is going to be with what you've got 3 or 4 years later. And again, is there an exit plan? How are you going to get your money out? Investors want to know how to get the money back. You can be stuck in a business for years and years, and they don't want that. They want to know how you're going to get out of the business, how it's going to be sold, who's going to buy it. And I would suggest that when you're starting to talk about getting investors in, tell them that at the beginning. Say, here's who you think could be the buyer in 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Or if it's IPO potential, of course, great. But I would also look at how you think you can position your business, be strategically really important, elbow out competition, be able to increase your pricing over time, and really have a position where a buyer cannot copy you, but must buy you in that space. So that's what I think an investor would like.